You're not going to look jacked if you're doing this with your workouts. You'll find more success in life being jacked and attractive than being fat and ugly. Here are what the judges look for when becoming a pro bodybuilder.
Welcome to Bodybuilders Amateur Hour, everybody, with your host Josh Thorne, co-host Caroline Min,
Hello.
and special guest John Lee, aka Jaws. What's going on, big guy?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh man,
I definitely hope that your nickname is a part of your story and where Jaws came from.
There's definitely a little chapter in there where the nickname
Perfect.
arises for sure.
Oh, fantastic.
It's a great nickname.
I just got to do a little bit of quick housekeeping first. Just like every other podcast, you got to like, subscribe, share, and
We want to hit that bell button, guys.
yeah,
Get those notifications.
for sure. If you especially want to come on and get notified to hear stories like Jaws here, come on. It's going to be super interesting, really motivational, and really heartfelt, I know, because I know a little bit of your backstory, big guy, and I know just from speaking with one of your trainers, one of your coaches, and being a fan of yours for quite a long time, just through Instagram. I'm one of the guys in the background, just kind of hanging out, watching your transform and seeing you progress through the years, and it's super motivating. And so it's finally a really big honor for you to be on here with us to share your story. And I'm really, really excited to get to know you a little bit more, besides just through videos and photos through Instagram. So this is really, really exciting, and I'm really honored for you to come on and join us.
Thank you. And first and foremost, I appreciate everyone that supports me behind the scenes. I don't get to meet all of my followers. So having the chance to be on here and actually connect with people who followed my journey, it's a great experience, and appreciate you having me on. Absolutely.
Thank you. The long story short, I'm a fan and a friend of Ron Parlow.
Right.
And we've been chatting a while back, and quite a while ago, he's like, Josh, man, you gotta check out this John guy. He's like, you'll love him. He's like, you'll love the story. He's like, he's super inspirational. I was like, John, I was like, who's that? He's like, Jaws, man, you got to know Jaws. Ron gets all pumped up and excited, and he's like, gotta go see him, gotta check him out, get him on your show. I was like, all right. So after taking a look, scrolling through, and I was like, oh damn, this guy is sick. He's like, and I was like, and then I just followed you for a while, for quite some time, and then I was like, yeah, man, this guy's got some information that needs to be shared. So let's do it. Let's dive right in, because I know we don't have a heck of a lot of time with you, because you're a super busy dude.
Yeah. I guess we can start back at how this whole fitness journey even started for me.
Love to. A big thing with this podcast, is like, we're called Bodybuilders Amateur Hour, right? So we really love focusing on the amateur aspect of bodybuilding and how you grew as an amateur to get to where you are today. And just like, let's just get right into like the nitty gritty, like you said.
Sure. So I've been, bodybuilding for 12 years now. Started when I was 19 years old. I'm
Nice.
31 now. I was in university at the time at university called UBC in Vancouver. During the time I started getting to training, prior to university, prior to even training, I was always into athletics. I played volleyball in high school, in club volleyball as well. However, being 5'5", they didn't really have a future in that sport. So
Right.
I the varsity team didn't make it, and since I got cut, I kind of fell into some bad habits in first year university. Kind of hung out with the wrong crowd. So that whole year was just me pretty much letting myself go, falling to bad habits like smoking weed every day. It was like a daily basis where I just pretty much got lazy with life. I eating junk food every day, playing video games every day, failing school. That went on for a whole year, and then
Was that
uh,
back in 2020?
no, 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 no. So
Oh,
there's
this
like
was way back because your other
wait,
story of this happened again kind of was like,
yeah. So we can
okay,
get to that.
sorry. I was like trying to put the time together. I was like, that was because you're 30 now. I was like, that was a while ago, but I was like trying
Yeah,
to figure that part out. Okay, sorry.
And that's a tough hole to get yourself out of when you're, eating junk food every day and you're being lazy. It's just like it's so hard to get out of that hole sometimes, especially for
totally.
myself when I was starting out, because that's kind of what got me going.
Yeah, and it spiraled to the point where I almost kind of lost sight of where I wanted to go in life until I kind of hit rock bottom, which was me getting into a drinking and driving accident. And that
Ooh,
was
that,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
near the end of my first year of university, where it was like drinking, driving. It was up in Kelowna, actually. At the time, I was in school at UBCO, which is northern BC. And
Yeah. I lived in Kelowna for a while, so
okay, yeah.
yeah,
So I
know
guess
that quite well.
probably know the winter weather's there. It gets crazy with the snow and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was driving pretty quickly, and then I guess the roads were swerving, and my car span out a couple of times. Luckily, it was like I think 3 a.m. or something like that, so there wasn't many cars on the road. So it was like a collision by myself, but the car got totaled. Like whole entire airbags popped out. Stepped out of the car and just like looked at it. It was like completely wrecked, and pretty much after that day, it was my wake up call, my reality check.
Holy smokes,
To
like that could
pretty
have
much
been it for you, right? Like that would,
that
Car
could have
yeah.
accidents are scary, yeah. And then
yeah.
knowing
So
that you could have potentially prevented that.
exactly, and like knowing that if that happened during the day, who knows what would have happened? I might have collided into another car, some pedestrians on the curve, because the whole entire car went over the curve and span out multiple times.
Yeah.
So after that, that's when I got myself a gym membership. I, I was like, I gained 40 pounds after that first year of university. So I told myself I needed to get back in shape
All right.
because I knew that
So
was the foundation.
yeah. So usually, or my first question would be like, why the gym membership? Why not? Uh, you could have went many other routes,
Yeah,
as into like self healing.
totally. And a part of it was the person that I was living with at the time was my cousin. He was already into the gym, and he was kind of like, I guess not necessarily a role model, but more so someone that I can tag along with that was
Right.
already into something doing something positive, and we pretty much became training partners. And once we developed that training partner relationship, I started to get very competitive with him, and eventually I became obsessed with nutrition, training. Did my bunch of research, a lot of YouTube,
Right.
and that kind of led me to falling in or getting deeper into the bodybuilding aspect of things, which then led me to do my first bodybuilding show, 2 years later.
2 years after your training.
Yeah,
Nice.
I spent 2 years to understand my body, figure out nutrition, training, hired a coach after 1 year, and then we got. The thing is too, the first time I bulked up, I did a dirty bulk.
Dirty
So I
bulk.
got
Oh God. Right. Yeah.
so we
Like
all
everybody does their first time usually.
yeah. So
Not
I
me,
went
not
up.
this one.
No. Well, yeah. You not this.
So
No,
Well,
not
you know
me.
better now. We're
Yes, I'll learn from you guys. This is why I'm
right.
here, to learn
This
from
is
you
why.
guys. Like everybody else watching this, amateurs, learn.
Yeah, totally. So I made that mistake as we do, as all of us do,
Yeah.
and I gained like I guess 50 pounds during that bulking phase,
Woo.
and we decided to do a competition. Me and my ex coach back in the day, and we wanted to do it in like I think 4 or 5 months to lose whatever 50 pounds, but it wasn't happening. So we decided to extend it for like 8 months. It was an 8 month,
Right. Yeah. That makes more
right,
sense.
pretty much to lose the 50 pounds. It went from 190 down to 145, something like that, and it was like an all
Crazy.
natural show.
Oh, good.
Um,
Okay.
8 months, like just slow, gradual deficit to get into shape, and
That's a good way to do it.
yeah, yeah. So we did it gradually. I was still eating a good amount of food, to be honest. And then did that show. I became a natural bodybuilding champion.
Oh,
Nice.
amazing! Congratulations
That's
on
the
your
best
first
way to do
show.
it.
Yeah. So that was my first sign of success in life.
Right.
And
Like, and like,
that was kind of like what, led me to decide to go all in on body moving forward.
yeah, I can understand that in a way of like my first competition and my first few competitions are like when I won were like, you know, there wasn't a lot of going on in my life where I was succeeding or the best at something. And when
Mhm.
that came along, it becomes another addiction in a way. You're like, oh, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
You're
How
like,
far can we take it?
yeah. Then it becomes a whole other interesting adventure. So I kind of get
Totally.
that.
Yeah. And, sometimes to be the best at something, you do have to have a little bit of that obsession of an
Yeah.
addiction. And that's kind of what I developed with bodybuilding in the beginning. It was, at a point where it did start to control the way I lived in terms of like always timing my meals and um, scheduling my workouts at specific times, and sometimes that meant me having to skip classes. So it wasn't the best in terms
Yeah.
of school, but overall, it did lead me towards a path of like personal development, growth, always trying to cut out what wasn't conducive to that journey,
Oh,
which meant
100%.
partying less and drinking less, and cutting out the weed and things like that. So that led me to kind of the path that I'm on today. Um, so yeah, that was the
Yeah.
first bodybuilding show I did.
So having that experience, I'm taking it way back. I'm curious, who were you following on YouTube when you first started getting into it? Where were you getting your information from?
A lot of the natural bodybuilding guys, I'm sure you've probably heard of like Matt Ogus,
Yeah.
uh, Team 3DMJ. Um, so a lot. I was really into natural bodybuilding back
All
then.
right. Yeah.
Right?
Well, stay in your lane, right? If that's where you're going and that's what you're doing, why follow the crazy enhanced guys that like, respond differently, might train a little differently,
Yeah,
recover
totally.
differently. So if you're
Yeah,
like the natural bodybuilder, like people watching this, especially in the amateurs, a lot of people starting out are going to be starting natural. So why would you suggest following, you know, old Branch Warren videos or old you know, um, like everyone like's done the Rich Piana stuff, like going way back. Like
like
why
Ronnie
get
Coleman.
yeah, Ronnie Coleman, why get into that stuff when you have a lot of other options and a lot of people that might be on close to the same level. So I think that was a really smart call, man. I haven't really heard many people say that before. I think that's a really, really good insight.
Totally. And I think a lot of what I have today was built on like the basis of natural bodybuilding. Like the way we trained back then, you know, it wasn't as conducive for someone might be enhanced, but it helped me build the base foundation that I have today.
Oh
And
yeah,
and just using more science based, evidence based lifting and nutrition as well. That kind of gave me the knowledge I have today to help transform other clients of mine that are just solely, doing this naturally. And
hmm
I think there is a difference in terms of the way you should be training and even eating with whether or not you're enhanced or not enhanced.
I agree. Yeah. So before we keep going into your story, while we're on the topic, what would you suggest? Like, do you is there any like dramatic differences between enhanced and unenhanced for like you would think for training and diet and nutrition, male and female?
Yeah, I think as far as training goes, when you're enhanced, there's obviously a higher capacity to recover faster, handle more volume. And I think when you're a natural, you have to really be careful with how much you do in the gym because there's a lot of systemic fatigue that can happen. And when you're not
hmm
recovering from your workouts because you're doing too much, that's what's going to lead you to not maximizing the muscle growth. Whereas
I used to
with,
have that problem. I didn't realize that at the time, and
yeah, and I had
Yeah,
that
you want to
problem as
push
well.
yourself hard, but there's definitely a cap to pushing yourself hard and then doing way too much and injuring yourself.
Yeah, there's diminishing returns and even like
yeah,
negative drawbacks from doing
Hmm.
too much, right? And it can
Hmm.
start to affect your nervous system, really recover, and even digesting your food and sleep and all these things. So for me, I realized that like way down my bodybuilding journey after like maybe 9 or 10 years. I was always in the gym like 2-3 hours a day, to be honest. And
Yeah, me too, man.
And then you realize that's, you know, not
I
necessary.
was obsessed with it, right? Like I just wanted to be in the gym, but realizing now I have to be smart with my training. As a pro, like you have to optimize these little things. So
Right.
um, now being enhanced, I think you can push your sets to failure more. At least that's how I found. When I took my sets to failure as a natural, I wasn't recovering. So I would always kind of maybe leave 1-2 reps in the tank, be able to recover, go back to the session, continue progressing. Whereas now it's like I'm going to failure and beyond, and I can still recover for the next session, keep going at that specific pace. That's what I found was like the difference.
Yeah, I agree.
That makes sense. No, I do. Yeah, because I mean, I've never done anything enhanced before, but I definitely know when I push myself to the max, it's the recovery, especially for my legs, I find, oh my gosh, it can take way longer than I'd like. And then next thing you know, you're missing days.
Yeah. Could be a whole week. Right? And
Yeah,
I think,
no, 100%.
yeah, sometimes like you want to just do the right amount where you can recover within 3 or 4 days so you can hit that muscle right again. So the total volume for that week is actually more than if you just did it in one full out session.
Oh yeah.
Right? So
Yeah, so
more
and you're new
overall
in the gym, you're like, I just want to get huge, just want to push myself to the limit. I'm just gonna lift all this crazy weight, and next you know I'm gonna be huge, and then it just makes the whole experience not so nice.
Yeah. Then a couple of months later, you either look exactly the same or you're smaller because you're not recovering and you're just. Right?
Yeah. I see a lot of newer people,
Yeah.
even though I'm super new myself, but even the people that are starting because they saw me at the gym and I inspired them to try it, they're like, I'm only going this day, or like they're kind of complaining that they feel like their workouts aren't enough. They're like, I was doing more than this before, and it's just like, just listen to your trainer, you'd be surprised. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So I came to realize, it's not about always training harder. Training harder is essential in terms of like you have to put intensity behind your workouts. The effort has to be there. You have to push yourself, but you also have to train smart in the sense that you can recover. You have to know your body, and you get to understand the balance of pushing and recovering and relaxing. Because if you are also a high stress individual, you go to work super stressed out from your work, you go back home, you're stressed out at home, and you go to the gym and try to blast out a 3-hour workout.
Oh, that's not.
That's
yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna run yourself down.
Yeah, your cortisol levels are just running high, and it's like the recovery is just not there, right? So, you mentioned about before I really am curious. I want to keep going into your story, but
I want to know this nickname business at least.
I just want to bring up. Yeah, we'll get there. You're bringing up a lot of interesting things, and I'm really curious on your perspective about training intensity and how to. I find like training and teaching training intensity is trying to explain, the color of the sky to somebody, right? How would you? I know you have a lot of really cool informational videos out there. I love your YouTube videos, but I'm just very curious, like, how would you explain to somebody about trying to train with intensity instead of just lifting the heavy weight?
Right. So for me, when I'm like, let's say coaching a client, I always say that the connection with the muscle comes first before we start adding weight. Because sometimes people think it's just all about progressive overload and adding weight over time, but it has to come down to your ability to feel the muscle and taking that muscle to the point of like close to failure, if not failure, if you can. And if you're not reaching that point of failure, that means it might be too light, or you're just not pushing yourself hard enough. I see it. I've asked a lot of my clients to record themselves, and they're not struggling in the sense like the face looks the exact same from the beginning to the end of the set, and like the even the tempo of the movement is the exact. Normally, when you're doing a set, like the tempo should pretty much be a little bit slower to finish up that last rep.
Oh yeah.
But if you're the exact same tempo and it's like you're going quick with each rep, then that means that you're not training hard enough, and maybe you're just not focusing hard enough. Sometimes it's just a matter of just focusing on, every centimeter of that movement to actually feel that muscle. Sometimes people's minds are just wandering and just, you know.
I genuinely think, yeah, when people, you can tell they're just moving and they're just moving. They don't really know what muscles are working in that movement. All they know is that they're doing a squat, they're going down, they're going up, but they're not thinking about the muscles that they're using to be able to do those movements.
Yeah.
That's so common, I feel.
They're just going from point A to point B, not really
Mhm.
thinking about muscles are moving that, you know, moving that exercise from point A to point B.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, and I find that part is like one of the more harder things to teach, just like for like my muscle connection and getting people to actually feel your quad on an extension or a bicep curl. Some people, I know lots of people that can't feel their biceps, including I've had a very hard time doing that.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes like a mind exercise. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes behind it, I think, in terms of trying to teach someone how to put in the intensity and effort behind their exercise. Because like when I'm coaching people, like I always tell them you have to, you know, put in effort, be intense with your movements. So sometimes they think that it's just about adding more weight and like, you know, not being able to maintain good form and just like kind of exhausting themselves. But really that's not fatiguing the muscle. More so what's happening is, you know, you're fatiguing your cardiovascular system.
Yeah.
Right? Because they, like at the end of the set they're out of breath, which is something that you should kind of technically feel, but it should be more muscular fatigue than cardiovascular fatigue. So
Mhm.
it is a tough thing to,
I get it.
unless you're with them to see and like actually physically move them and actually monitor their level of intensity. It is a little bit hard.
That was hard. Get it. All right. So let's get back into your story. I'm just super curious now about like I just want to talk briefly about your first show, if that's cool.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Going in, like coming out of like a weird dark place in your life to stepping on stage in front of some bright ass lights, going from one thing to pretty much the opposite, in front of stage, in a pair of trunks and everyone looking at you.
Yes. I mean, it's a good question.
Like, what was that like for you, man?
It was so long ago, I can't even remember the feelings I had. I just remember going out there and having fun. For me,
That's good.
it almost came naturally to me. Like I wasn't the best poser back then, but
I was
I
about to
think
ask you how'd you feel about the posing when you were new, because I knew that was so hard. I found that tough. It was like,
yeah,
oh my God, I went through all this, and this is what gets me? Get out of here.
and the thing is, I've never really practiced posing back in the day. I mean, not gonna lie, but I think I had enough of like a foundation to pose and make it look like I knew what I was kind of doing. So I was just having fun up there at the end of the day, and just like I think the judges saw
Sweet.
that. They saw my
Yeah,
saw my confidence, and then I think that's what it comes down to: just having that confidence on stage, knowing that you're having fun, smiling. So I mean, I was nervous while I'm standing backstage, like getting ready to go on.
he was like,
When I
oh
was out
Right.
God.
there, when I
This
was
is
out
gonna
there,
be me next.
yeah, and then your heart's racing. But when you're out there, it's like the lights are flashing in your eyes. You don't even see anyone in the stands, so you're just having fun doing your thing.
Just doing it.
Yeah.
Do or die.
Yeah. Nice. So then after your show, you won. Then
Won.
did you just keep rolling, or did you take a break? How did
Yeah,
your career
so
progress?
I think that my first show was in 2013. I think I did or yeah, 2013. So I did like a year and a half off season, still natural, and
Nice.
this is actually no, sorry, 2014. Classic Physique, I believe, came out in 2015, I think.
I
So
think so. That sounds about right.
there was no Classic Physique when I did my
No.
first bodybuilding show, right? So that being said, um, I went in the year and a half to just kind of grow, and then they came out with Classic Physique in 2015. When they came out with that class, I knew that was a class for me because in my head it was either bodybuilding or men's physique. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be super huge like Ronnie Coleman.
Right.
I was kind of leaning towards men's physique, but even then, I'm a bodybuilder at heart. Right, I love the posing aspect of
Yeah.
it. They came out with class. I knew that was
You're
the
like,
category.
yes.
That was like my calling. So when they came out with that category, there was a show in Fort St. John in 2015. This was untested. I was still natural at the time, and decided to do that show as a natural. And long story short, I stepped on stage, won my class, and then also won the overall.
Oh wow, nice, right on.
So your first two shows.
First two shows against the guys that were
On a
handsome.
roll.
Yeah.
That really gave me the confidence that I have something here. I have the potential to go.
Yeah.
Forwards, right, because like when you can.
That just pisses me off a little bit, but that's fine. Like, man.
Yeah. So to be honest, like, in my head,
Is where the genetics come in.
Partly, yeah. In my head, I've always wanted to stay natural. That's what was my intention when I started bodybuilding. That's just the culture I grew up in. Even in my my family, like that was a big thing, right? And then obviously I saw my success with classic physique, and then I competed at provincials a few months after the 14 John show, and then I won my class in that show, but I lost in the overalls against a guy that was just bigger and more conditioned. That was my first real loss, right?
Yeah.
So that was
Were you mad? Were you upset? Or were you like, oh, that's fair. I could see that.
About time.
Yeah, I honestly, I knew that he was bigger and more conditioned. I had better shape, but the fact that he was bigger and more conditioned, I knew it was a fair call. So for me, it was like, okay, well, I do see potential here. I want to become a pro. What am I going to have to do? So that's when I made the tough decision to, throw my natty card and
out the window, yeah.
Pretty much, take that route to take my physique to a pro level.
Was that like a hard decision? Was that a hard decision, or did you just think about it for a little while? Yeah, I feel like that'd be tough.
Yeah.
Because
I know a lot of people, and like a lot of like teenagers and like really young adults just don't even think twice, and they just jump right into it before even doing a show or without much of a goal. And so it's kind of hard to see, but it's like, do your thing, man. It's your call.
Yeah, you know what it is? I think it's partly because of how social media has normalized the usage of it. It's like everywhere now. Like you got like little kids talking about trend challenges.
I've seen that.
Like 30-day trend challenges, and like you got a YouTube channel called the Trend Twins. So it's like
that's kind of fucked.
Yeah, like it's almost normalized.
It's starting to become a little bit normal now with the female population like ditching Anavar and low dose test becoming a thing for females,
right?
Which I don't know if you're like, it's relatively new, or I've started to see it on social media now.
I've started to see a lot more, fitness people speaking about it.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, normalizing the usage of it in at least like competitive female, like bikini or whatever it is.
Bikini. It's a lot of bikini competitors are talking about using like very low dose testosterone for competing.
Yeah. So I think because of the accessibility to that information, of how people are using it, and it's just becoming more common, that's what's influencing even the younger demographic to think it's okay. So for me, like, I want to be super responsible with the message I put out with enhancements. Is like, for me at least, when I decided to do that, like join that side of things, it was a big deal, right? It was like a super hard decision for me, but I knew that I had big goals I wanted to accomplish. I knew I wanted to become a pro, and if I wanted to compete for my pro card, become a pro, but not just that, I had the intention of making it to the Olympia. I knew I had to eventually start to
yeah
right. So that's what I did, and I guess you can fast forward 1 year after the provincial show I did my first pro qualifier at Toronto Pro, which was in 2018, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, 2018. I did 2018 Toronto Pro qualifier. I won my class, got into the overalls.
Nice.
And I didn't win. However, there was another bigger, more conditioned guy that beat me. I think I was third in that overalls.
So I didn't win. That's crazy. That's awesome.
It's not bad.
Very good.
For your
first run.
For your first run at the Toronto. Yeah.
The pro show. So then after that show was the Van Pro qualifier. I did that show, and I again won my class, but missed the overall. I think I was also third in that one as well in the overall. And then after that, I was like considering a show in the States. So I found out that in there was a show called North Americans. That was in
Yes, yeah,
August.
that's huge. That's a good one.
Huge show, yeah. I found out that they give top two of the class a pro card. So,
Nice.
considering my track record of winning my class, I just thought it was a good opportunity. So I decided to enter the North Americans, did the show, ended up placing fifth.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
That
So
was
it's a, yeah, a little
Almost.
humbling.
It was very, very humbling. So for me, it was like it almost just destroyed my belief in myself because I
Fair
felt
enough.
like
Yeah.
it's worth like is putting myself through all this worth it when I'm like coming up short all the time and like I was fifth this time.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
for me, in my head, I honestly not to sound cocky, but I thought I was the best.
Right.
Like,
Oh, well, to keep going, we have to think that about for sure.
right. But after I placed fifth, I'm like maybe I don't have what it takes, and I just
Mm.
had a lot of doubt. And I think a lot of people go through that. So for me, it's like I had to really consider if it was worth it to continue on competing because one, I'm harming my body with like PDs, and two, like I'm having to prep where I'm depleted and sticking away
Yeah.
from my work, clients, things like that. So I took an off season. I got myself back into a good mental state, and then I was like, okay, I had the itch again. So
Yeah.
pretty much
Right. Yeah.
If
we gave
there
another
is an itch.
there's always a niche. I always have the niche. So the following year in 2019, I gave it another run. My first show I did was Van Pro qualifier. So I skipped the Toronto Pro. I just went straight to Van Pro.
Right.
Won my class again. Went to the overalls, but again I didn't win the pro card.
Right.
So I gave another thought about it. Is like, okay, should I do another show or should I call like hang the towel, keep making improvements? So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go for one more chance. I did the North Americans again for this year.
Yeah.
I came into this show with no expectations.
You're just going to do it.
Just going to do it. Just
Like,
to come in to bring my best package. Other shows, every other show after that, I was like, I'm going this to win this. I deserve to win this. Like I'm the best. So when I had that like thought going to every show, I always ended up, falling short. Now when I'm going into shows with the intention of just doing my best and doing my best package, I found, at least for me, it's always worked out in my favor. Thinking that way instead of thinking I'm going to go into sweat.
did you find going into the shows with that mindset of just going to be the best you? Like those preps were probably some of your best preps that you've had, and like
100%.
your stress levels are a lot more, like quite a bit lower than you would put on yourself normally.
100%.
Yeah.
Less stress, less things weighing me down. I can just focus on what I know I'm good at, which is my training, my diet, just the bodybuilding lifestyle. And whatever happens, happens. Like that's
Yeah.
out of my control. Because I'm not the judge. They judge me, right? So I'm not gonna, like be upset if they say I'm last place. And if they think I'm first, then perfect. That's awesome. Like the work that I put in finally came to fruition. So I came into
Sorry, keep continuing.
So I came into I went into North Americans one more time in 2019 with that frame of mind, going into it. Just I wanted to do my best, come in with my best package, and then ended up winning my class,
Again.
and then also the overall. So
Hell
that's
yeah.
where I got my.
Right.
Finally, I was gonna say I didn't want to interrupt because I knew we were getting there. I've noticed
Yeah.
that people that have that mentality to just go in there and do their thing, and the judges are gonna make the decisions based off of whatever they wanna do. I find people tend to do well, and it just overall is a better experience taking that.
I agree because if you're going into the intention of like I have to be first, I have to,
Yeah.
then you don't. It's like you're almost like falling short of your expectations, and you build a better relationship with competing. Like
Yeah.
for me now, the way I see competition is I just want to step on stage to compete to be better than I was last time. So knowing that I destroyed the previous package that I've competed with, and as long as I'm making improvements, I know that my efforts will be rewarded one day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And essentially, that's kind of what happened. After I guess did my pro debut, I was second, third, and fourth in 3 pro shows that year, which was
That's
last
so
year.
crazy. Yeah.
So I just told myself, just okay, that's. I mean, I came into the every show just no expectations, and then eventually, fast forward 1 year later to this year, July, I did Van Pro again, and I won the show. Now I'm Olympic qualified.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, you found your secret weapon.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So
The
yeah,
ritual.
just bringing like probably the stress hormones down and just enjoying the moment. And did you find that made you feel like you enjoyed training more when you had that mindset too? Like you were coming into the gym
Uh,
with like a little
yeah. To
less
be honest,
pressure.
I always enjoyed training. So the training for me wasn't. It never. I never. I mean, until I was maybe like 2 3 weeks out, where I was like super depleted. It was like a little bit hard to make it to the gym, but I always had motivation to actually go inside the gym and train and actually put 100% effort behind everything I do. And that was just always innate. It was always built in me from when I first started training. I
From
was
the
like,
very
the training
beginning.
side, I always put in 100% effort with my workouts. I never cut my workout short. I always get every single rep done. If it's on paper, I'm getting it done.
Nice.
Whether that takes me 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, if I need to, it gets done.
Nice.
And I think that's
I need
part
to
of
absorb some of that.
and that's part of what has created the success I have in bodybuilding too. Is just setting these specific like expectations for myself and not falling short of them. Like when I say I'm going to follow through with something, with my bodybuilding, with my
Right.
workouts, my diet, I follow through without fail, and having integrity to know that I'm actually going to make it happen and commit to it. Whereas some people, they just have excuses of, oh, I'm tired today, I'm not going to make it to the gym, or I'm tired today, I'm going to cut my workout short, or I'm hungry, I'm going to, snack on a little bit extra this. Like for me, it's
So
like,
yeah,
gotta go into the plan with just full integrity and zero deviations.
right. So even through the off season, you hold true to that, hey? Or do you find a lot of people?
Now,
Yeah.
now I do. So maybe we can, you know, uh, share a little bit of another chapter in my life where I kind of
Yes, please.
went downward. So right after I got my pro card in 2019, this was I think August 2019. I was in a very good routine for the off season. I was like staying in shape, getting ready for like pretty much building a good off season physique for my pro debut. Fast forward to 2020 March, what happens? The world gets shut
Right.
down.
The big
Right.
C, the
Yeah,
unmentionable.
Out of
yeah,
trauma, I just kind of almost forgot
Right.
about that.
Yeah.
right. So that happened, and as a you know result of that, I guess fell into a victim mindset. I just told myself, okay, well, what are we gonna do? The world's shut down. I can't go to the gym. Working out at home is kind of boring. So, and I just
Mm.
got my card. I've been busting my ass for all these years.
I'm
Let's
gonna
just,
pull something up here. Keep talking, and then
yeah.
this
So I was,
is like this one here.
yes,
This is the post that like got me like
Freak.
oh,
Is that
and
post-COVID?
it's not
that
just
was
the post. It's just the also the write up.
Look at the difference there.
Ah crap. One sec. I hate when that happens.
yeah.
So what was going on with you during COVID? You couldn't get to the gym.
Couldn't get to the gym. I guess because I couldn't get to the gym, I had zero motivation to follow my diet,
Right.
and
Right.
I just started, to be honest, ordering takeout every day. Just being lazy with my cooking. Um, I don't want to get too much my personal life, but I was in a little bit of a toxic relationship at that time too. She was like drinking and kind of egging me on to do all those like bad
Right.
habits and whatnot. So I
And
was like,
Oh yeah, enabling for sure.
yeah, no, it's totally
Can have
fair
that.
because having like a partner that isn't on the same level as you or with the same understanding is 100% a detriment. And when you're
totally.
having, and then
That's why
yeah,
if you want to succeed in bodybuilding, you have to have the right circle of
yeah.
people around you. 100%. It's like it's gonna make or break whether or not
So
you succeed.
before you keep going, you mentioned a while back how you had to cut everything out of your life, in your previous cleanse, your life cleanse, and I'm sure that involved like friends that didn't understand the track that you wanted to take, right? The negative people in your life that we have to kind of let go of and realize, I might be a little bit better without you. Sorry, but yeah,
There has been, a lot of times when I had to cut certain people out, especially my university days, especially, right? And I had friends that were dragging me into those party scenes, drinking, smoking weed, things like that.
yeah,
Cut them out. I had to pretty much surround myself with guys that were in the gym, like my cousin at the time. And then, as well, just like even growing up throughout university and after university, just like even in the off season, I'll be honest, I've never taken my off season seriously, only up until I became a pro.
oh
And that
wow,
was just the way I lived because I
yeah,
always had friends that were kind of into the party scene, so I fell into that kind of lifestyle in the off season because there was no competition in sight. So now, obviously, being a pro, that's not conducive to
can't
where I
do,
want to be.
right? Yeah,
No, 100%. So like for me, I still have friends that party and stuff like that, but I'll have to pick and choose my battles, and sometimes I won't even participate in any of the activities. I'll just be there to show face because I do enjoy spending time with my
oh
friends.
yeah,
But now it's like I have to really be smart with my off season, and my off season since my pro debut last year has been pretty much on point, and it's made a huge difference on my physique. I would say like
yeah,
before,
cool.
I didn't make much like drastic changes in my physique because of the lack of commitment to my off season. But now that I've been on point with it, I can see the changes more drastically. Like this year's package of my Van Pro, like it was completely different from last year's package.
Oh yes, you can tell if you go through your
Right?
Instagram for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, so now the off season is extremely important. Um, but I guess to kind of fall back in the story I was at,
Yeah,
with
sorry.
COVID, with that I was just like I said, just in a toxic environment, didn't have the right circle around me. That snowballed for like a year and a half.
That's a
I
long time, man. That's quite a ride.
Yeah, and during that 1.5 years, I also ruptured my Achilles,
Oh,
and
Ooh,
I
no.
not even in the gym,
probably wasn't in the gym, was it?
Oh,
not even in the gym. So I was.
Never
So what
is.
happened was I actually I gained like 40 pounds of excess fat from COVID. I went from 200 to 240. And 240 was the heaviest I've ever been. So that
How'd
I
you
was like
feel?
extremely, man. I was waking up super lethargic and tired. I didn't even want to wake up, to be honest.
Oh,
Super unproductive throughout the day. I was like wheezing every time I walked upstairs, and like I had a hard time breathing because my belly was protruding so much. So
being 40 pounds heavier is a tough one. I lost 40 pounds and
she was right there.
it's, I get it. I totally get it. It's not fun.
no,
Having that weight that's not supposed to be there.
yeah, totally. So I felt that for a whole year and a half, and then at the end of 2021, I pretty much told myself that I can't keep living this way anymore. It was time for me to get my act together. So in 2022, I hired Ron, my coach, to get me ready for my first pro debut in 2022.
How'd you find
So
Ron? Sorry to interrupt. Just
honestly, Ron is very easy to communicate with.
yeah.
He is. I like the protocol. It's simple. It's easy to follow. I actually worked with another coach in the off season prior to Ron to get me ready for my pro debut before I ruptured my Achilles.
Okay.
And the reason why I stopped working with that coach was because I ruptured my Achilles and I just kind of fell off. But with the other coach, it was just too much for me to handle. And as much of a diehard bodybuilder I am, I have coaching business I have to take care of. I've, like
Yes.
my family have to be attentive to. So like bodybuilding wasn't my whole life at that point. It's getting to the point where I am really trying to make it more because now that I'm an Olympian athlete, I do want to, make some noise and
Oh,
actually
for
do
sure.
something else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, once you're there, it's a career now.
You got to shift some gears with, how dedicated you are to what needs to get done. So with Ron,
Yes.
it's like it was a very easy transition for me to get back into the bodybuilding
Good.
lifestyle,
Yeah.
get my
That's
meals back
perfect.
in,
Yeah.
Even the PED side of things, like super low dosage, like it was really good.
It's
Right?
all very super simple, right? It's just very easy, clean.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's what allowed me to execute. If I had went straight from 0 to 100 with that previous coach, I probably would have fell off, to be honest. So for
Yeah,
me,
it's
I was able to pick it back up with Ron really easy, and in 6 months I lost like 60 pounds. Did my
Nice.
yeah.
went from 240 down to 180, and then yeah, I did my pro debut,
Bet
got
that felt
second,
good.
So you
felt
did your
amazing.
pro debut at 180?
180.
Man, that you did not look 180. Holy smokes.
Well, that was last year. Now, well, to be honest, now that they increased the weight cap,
Yeah, it's gonna
and
be
I have an extra inch of height, I actually get an additional 12 pounds. Like
yeah,
that.
that's exciting.
That's real,
Nice.
yeah. So I'm gonna be trying to growing that with Ron over the next off season, but we'll see what we can grow into for this year's Olympia. Probably not 12 pounds, but we'll see how
Yeah.
much
What are
muscle I
we
can put.
That'd be
7
so
weeks? Almost
much.
7 weeks out? 6, 8
No,
weeks?
now we're at 9 weeks.
9 weeks?
Yeah,
I
Oh,
don't know.
right on.
yeah. So yeah, feeling good about this prep though for Olympia. Like I've already seen some improvements, and I'm way leaner now than I was last year 9 weeks out, or this year for 9 weeks out with Venpro. Conditioning's gonna be
Perfect.
better, put in some more size, and hopefully make some noise at Olympia.
Oh yeah, it's. I will. I will hopefully see you there. I am going, so
Nice,
I will. I will. I will see you there for sure.
there you
But
go.
yeah,
I hope I make it. Like so, my goal. I just want to crack top 15. I know it
yeah.
might be a stretch from the first Olympia. That's a big
Eh,
feat.
it's. I think
Um,
that's doable. I think that's a reasonable goal though, for sure.
yeah.
Especially knowing the packages that you can bring. It's. I think you.
The reason for that is because once you're 16th, everyone else behind you is also 16th.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
So if you're 15th, you know you're exactly your 15th.
Right. You're like
That
I'm
means
16th at
At
the Olympia.
least
What is that?
yeah,
Go. Okay. Good. Yeah.
yeah,
join the majority.
exactly.
Right.
Top 15 is the goal. I think only top 10 make it to finals though. So
I believe so. Yeah.
So if I can make a top 10 and do a routine, that would be amazing. But if not, I mean,
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
So so you said we're about 9 weeks out. What does your Olympia prep look like? Does much change except for like diet? Are you what's
Well, we've kept the diet very similar, like the same, just a little bit more food than it was like prior to Van Pro. Considering I have 12 pounds now, we did up the dosage a bit for certain things. But other than that, everything is relatively the same. We actually tapered off on some of the cardio, so I can fill
oh
out a bit.
nice. That's good.
So I'm not having to do an hour a day now.
Oh,
But
that's great.
That's not too bad.
yeah, I mean, an hour a day for me is pretty like that's like the max I've ever done.
Yeah.
But I know
Yeah,
some competitors.
yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel like I was at like 40 minutes
40
max
minutes.
cardio.
That's-
Yeah, but one show. We'll see how it goes next
Uh,
year. I want to get leaner than I did last year. Or this year, technically, if sent in May. Leaner than I was in May. There we go.
It's doable
Yeah.
for sure. Awesome. Yeah. So, how do you feel like Olympia, man? Like this is your first one coming. Like, how do you are you? What's the feelings running through you right now? Are you scared, nervous, like proud? Like this is pretty damn cool.
Yeah,
You're
honestly,
like in
it's
the
a mixture.
1% of people that get to do something like this, right? So,
Yeah, like when you frame it that way, it absolutely is like a cool feeling. There's a mixture of different emotions because I personally I don't feel like an Olympian yet. It might not hit me until I'm like literally backstage with the other Olympians, like standing next
yes.
to C-Bomb and those guys.
It's like you're new. It's like you're new again.
I
You're
know.
backstage for your very first
Yeah.
show ever. Like, I don't know if I belong here yet. And then,
Yeah, and I'm gonna be looking at guys. Oh, everyone's bigger than me. Every
No
time I'm
matter where you
backstage,
go.
guys are huge. Like I feel like I'm small every time.
Yep.
Like
Same.
even the Van this year, I'm like looking at my guys like well, they're tall, right? And they're tall. Every guy that was in the first call was like way taller than me in this year's Van Pro. So, but obviously
It's
it's not
like,
always
that's
high.
yeah, yeah. Talk to Sean Clear about that, right? So
Yeah, yeah. So
so
yeah, I mean it's a great feeling, like, and especially to be the first Olympian from British Columbia to go to the Olympia in classic physique. Like I really
are
Represent.
want to.
you? I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to
That
make history.
congratulations. That's cool, man.
Yeah, exactly. Setting like making history really, right? So
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
yeah,
Hold it down for
and
us Canadians.
well, I know C-Bum's already doing that, but hopefully I can have
Fair.
a good shot with him on stage, and
Yeah, it's nice to have like a little bit more of a. We got one or two good Canadians out there, but we have a lot of potential here, right? So
totally.
one or two, we got quite a few, but we have
We're hiding.
Yeah,
maybe
us
out
Canadians, we just get to speak up to people.
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind
Oh,
of true.
sorry, just gonna sneak past you there.
There's a lot of dark horses in Canada, I'm sure.
Yeah, that we're coming through. Uh, so the name, man, where does the nickname come from? As
Okay, so I guess the origin story of that.
do people like
Uh,
running from you on the beach because you're all they can see is biceps coming, and they're like doing it, doing it. They're like, oh my god, what is
Dun,
that?
dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
it actually doesn't have anything to do with the movie Jaws,
Okay.
as surprising as it might seem. But it all started out when I did my first bodybuilding show, and I dieted it down really hard. And then I guess people didn't realize how prominent of a jawline I had. So
Right.
So
my jaw gets very chiseled, like it's very squared when I diet down, and everyone just always talks about my jaw. And then I guess I forgot who it was, but a friend of mine, he just pretty much called me Jaws, and then
I love it.
I rolled with it, and I started using it as my nickname in video games and things like
oh,
that. And
fun.
then eventually I used it as my social media, and it just kind of caught on, and now I kind of built a brand around it.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when you were diet down, your jawline was so prominent. Would you like when you would eat, you would get like the striated lines throughout your
Oh, yeah, the stride, like little
yeah,
muscles around. Oh, yeah,
yeah. You're like, "Wow."
Nice.
Like that's intense. I love it.
yeah, yeah. So that's the origin story.
Ah, I like it. I know we don't have too much time left, so I'd love to just get quickly into your social media. Like you're
Sure.
exploding there, dude. Like your videos are awesome. Do you do them to yourself? Do you have editors? Like, what's your process with your social media? And how do you and how
Yeah.
is that
Honestly,
affecting your life?
it does take a lot of planning. So we have to kind of set up a whole day just to, plan out the content, figure out what's a good message to put out there for the audience that resonates with people. And, once we have everything mapped out, we shoot, I send it to the editors and they kind of make it all, fancy and whatnot. And then, yeah, we just got to, be consistent with it. That's kind
Right,
of the process.
consistency is the key,
Consistency. Jinx.
definitely. Right, yeah. So like that's a big thing with us trying to. But yeah, where did that start? Where did you realize that you were good at it, and how did that work out?
You mean with social media?
Yeah, yeah.
To be honest, like it didn't really start picking up until I guess I became a pro and I started to get more traction as a pro. And then of course, finding the right people to help me, make it the way it is now.
Right. Okay.
Part of it was like I do have a business partner. He has a really creative mind with that. And then finding just the right people to edit the videos, and then of course, certain topics to be putting out there.
Right.
When it comes to what kind of content you want to be promoting, right? So for me, it's like a lot of it's bodybuilding, my personal life, but also coaching. So like giving a lot of value when it comes to training, nutrition, anything that people can benefit from. And if you package that up nicely, put it in a nice little edited video, that's what makes it consumable, and that's kind of how you kind of grow from there.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to touch on your training and like what you do, and give yourself like why not give yourself a shout out, man? Like let's hear if you're looking for people and what you're offering. I'm totally curious.
Sure. Well, if you don't follow me, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Jaws JAWS _ IFBB Pro. I actually just launched my first YouTube video yesterday.
Oh,
It's
cool.
Woo.
I'm doing a
Nice.
road Road to the Olympia series.
Nice.
So you can check out my YouTube as well. But I'm not just a bodybuilder. I'm also a transformation coach. I've been coaching for over 10 years now.
What
So
is
you
your
can,
world? What do you? Yeah, sorry. What do you call world class transformation coach?
yes.
Yeah,
So I'm
that's a pretty sweet title.
just yeah. Um, Self-proclaimed world-class transformation coach. But I believe in my abilities to transform people's lives, and a lot of my clients will feel the same way. So for me, like I particularly I do like to coach competitors. That's what it might look like. I do most majority of the times, but personally, because of my own, I guess, history with how bodybuilding saved my life, and it's
Right.
allowed me to step away from all the negative vices and the lifestyle poor decisions I made back then. I personally like to help the typical guy that has a hard time letting go of vices, has a hard time, letting go of the junk food, the drugs, like all of that. I resonate with all that, and I
Right.
know
That's really
how
fit.
fitness and even just bodybuilding or committing to that kind of lifestyle can be such a better path for them to personally develop themselves, let go of all the negative vices, so that they can truly become the man that they should be for not just their family, but for themselves, people around them. And like I've developed myself into the man I am today because of bodybuilding and fitness. So those are the individuals I personally love working with.
Right.
Although it does seem like I like to work with competitors, I do. But when I can transform anyone's life from literally where I was, right, super comfortable slash lazy, unproductive, not really going anywhere with life, to having the success that I have today with my bodybuilding, with my coaching, having more fulfillment and purpose, that is really ultimately my duty as a coach.
Oh man, that's so wonderful to hear, and that's also really quite refreshing too. And it's a little bit different than you hear from a lot of coaches around. And yeah, good for you, man. That's like
Thank you.
Well,
it's
you are the kind of coach that your coaching method was similar to what I had it from a coach, because I was in the same way, and I found the bodybuilding makes a huge difference, and it's nice to know that your coaches kind of know how you feel when you're coming from that spot, because you really don't feel like you're like, I just feel like I'm doing something crazy right now.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people feel that way when they start a program like this, but when you kind of share your insight and you
hmm
share your
Mm,
personal experience with how bodybuilding has positively impacted my life and show them the opportunity of what kind of future life that they can build for themselves, that's when they get motivated. That's when they start to see the possibility of them changing their life to take action to make better decisions with their fitness, their
mm,
health. And then from going from where they are to transforming them to like what I call my program version 2.0,
yeah,
it's like
right,
for
yeah.
me like the most rewarding feeling as a coach. And it's like those are the clients I feel I have most fulfillment with and purpose with.
mm.
Dude, that's awesome, and I wish you all the best. Like it
Thank you.
sounds like yeah, you have a great future ahead of you in this career, in this sport, and we're really really excited to watch you grow from your first Olympia to hopefully many others.
I
Yeah,
appreciate the support, like I said, and hopefully, we bring back some hardware one day
yeah,
to Colombia and make us Canadians happy.
definitely. Well, I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person in 9 weeks. We can definitely get together. I'll be there with the mutant team. So,
Nice,
and I'll be there with Ron. So I'm sure we'll run into each other.
absolutely.
That will be fantastic.
Pleasure for having me
Yeah,
on, and
Love
definitely. I
thanks a
that.
lot.
really appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Thanks,
Yeah, thanks for telling
Caroline.
us your story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Super relatable.
Yep. And I think a lot of people are going to really like latch onto this, and I hope some people really take some of this to heart and realize, hey man, we can get out of these dark holes. We can get out of yeah, we can get out of these dark holes, and there's always a light shining somewhere. We just gotta open our eyes.
Open our eyes, honestly, and just take that leap of faith. Sometimes it's hard to go out of that comfort zone because that's what people are in.
Yep.
But when you realize that there is a brighter side on the opposite side of the fence, then it's just a matter of taking action.
Heck yeah.
Yep,
All
do
right.
it.
Yeah,
This is
Awesome.
your call to do it
it's your sign, people.
and
Awesome.
get it done.
Right on. Thanks, Strauser. Appreciate it a lot, man. All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Good
Thank
luck.
you so
Nice
much.
meeting you.
Happy prepping. If that is a
To the
thing.
both
Yeah.
to the both of you. It's
Right.
always
Yeah.
happy prepping. You gotta keep
It's
that
always
positive
happy.
mindset.
You got it.
Always.
All
Yeah.
right. Peace. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye guys. See you.
Bye.